Hello students, in this video we are going to revise our unit test 2 syllabus, that is chapter 1 to chapter number 5. In this video we will see the summary of all these 5 chapters in short. So here let me start our revision with chapter number 1. The chapter name is Food. Where does it come from? So in this chapter we had seen that food is a substance that is eaten by living beings to get energy. To get energy we are eating the food. And food provides us energy to work, to grow or to remain healthy and to protect our body against various disease and infections. So this is the reason why we are taking the food. This food gives us energy to do work, to grow and to remain our body healthy and to protect our body from the disease and infections. And this main source of this our food are plants and animals. The plants are the sources of foods like pulses, cereals, vegetables and fruits. We are getting these all food items, that is pulses, cereals, vegetables and fruits from the plants. And fruits and many vegetables like tomato, cucumber, carrot, radish, beet are eaten as the raw material. We are eating this directly without cooking them. And the food items such as milk, eggs, meat, chicken, fish, prawns, beef, pork, etc. come from animals. So these items we are getting from the animals, or the animals are the sources for these food items. Other than this, we are also taking water and salt. So water and salt used in our food are neither plant products or nor animal products. So these all the things we are using as our food, and we cook the food and eat it. And we cook different dishes using the raw ingredients. Example, we prepare roti, puri, bhakri, bread, laddus, etc. from wheat flour. We are using the raw materials to make different variety of dishes. Like one example is given to you, that is we are preparing roti, puri or bhakri from the wheat flour. So wheat flour here is the ingredient and we are getting roti or puri from this ingredient. Some food items are made with many ingredients. Here in the example of puri and roti we had seen that we require only few numbers of food items or raw ingredients, that is water and wheat flour. But some food items are made with many ingredients. One example is also given to you, that is to prepare vegetable curry we need different kinds of vegetables, then salts, spices, oil or ghee, water, etc. So we need this much of raw ingredients to prepare the vegetable curry. And to cook rice we need rice grains and water. So to cook different variety of dishes we need different raw ingredients. Here some examples we had seen. Then after, there is a variation in the food eaten in different region of India. So the food the people taking, we will see, or we are seeing the diversity in the food that people are taking in the different regions of our country. Different creatures eat different types of food, and different animals also eat different kinds of foods. We do not eat the same kind of food daily. Instead of that, we eat different food items. Every day we need different food items. We cannot eat the same food items every day, or we are not eating that. We get bored with that. So different days we are getting, or we are eating the different food items. And on the basis of their food habits, animals can be divided into major 3 categories, that is herbivores, carnivores and omnivorous. So here the first one is herbivorous. So now what is herbivorous animals? So the animals that eat only plants or plant products are called herbivorous. such as cow, buffaloes. These animals eat only plants or plant products. So that's why they known as the herbivorous animals. Next is carnivorous. So the animals that eat other animals and or animal products are called carnivores. The animals who eat other animals, so those kind of animals are known as the carnivores, like tiger, lion, etc. And the last one is omnivorous. So the animals that eat both plants and animals are called omnivorous. Like us human being, we are omnivorous. So many of us are eating both the plant products and animals also. So these kind of animals are known as the omnivorous animals. So these are the things we had seen in the first chapter, that is food, where does it come from. This is only summary. The based on this chapter, from anywhere the question answers, short question answers, that is MCQ, will be asked to you in your unit test 2. So you have to prepare all the whole chapter, and also in the extra exercise you have to prepare MCQ, fill in the blanks, true false, that short exercise, all the short exercise. Now moving on the next chapter, chapter number 2. So next chapter, chapter number 2 is components of food. So now let we see what we had seen in this second chapter, components of food. So first we had seen that the edible substance which we eat to obtain energy for growth, then after repair and maintenance of our body, and to fight against occurrence or certain disease is called food. The substance which we are taking, this one we had already seen in the first chapter, that the substance which we are taking or which we are eating to get energy, to grow, to repair and maintenance of our body, and to fight against some disease is called food. And each food item of our meal is made up of one or more ingredients, as in the previous chapter we had seen already. And these ingredients contain some components that are needed by our body for its growth. Now the food item which is made by some ingredients, so these ingredients contain several components and which are necessary for our body growth of the body and wear and tear. So these components are called nutrients. So now let we see what are the nutrients which we are getting from the food items. So the major nutrients in our food are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals and vitamins. And in addition, the food also contains dietary fibers and water. So these are the major components which we are getting from the food. That is carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals and vitamins. Other than that, we are also getting dietary fibers and water from the food. Next is, with some simple methods, we can taste whether cooked food or a raw ingredient contains one or more of these nutrients like carbohydrates, protein and fat, etc. We had performed to check the presence of carbohydrates, protein and fats in the chapter, and in that we had seen or we checked the presence of these components or these nutrients in the food. So by those simple methods we can taste that cooked food or the raw material or the raw ingredient contains these nutrients or not. And the food from which we get these nutrients are called the sources of nutrients. The source or the food from which we are getting the nutrients, so those kind of sources are known as the sources of nutrients. The grains are a source of carbohydrates, pulses, eggs and milk are the sources of proteins. Nuts, milk and eggs are the sources of fats, and vegetables and fruits are the sources of vitamins and minerals. So here some sources of these nutrients are given to you, that the main source of carbohydrates is grains. Then after we are getting protein from pulses, eggs and milk. We are getting fats from nuts, milk and eggs, and we are getting vitamins and minerals from the vegetables and fruits. So these are the some sources of these nutrients which we are getting from the food. Then after we had seen what is the function of these nutrients. Now we are taking these nutrients by eating the food. So what is the function of these nutrients? So first one is carbohydrates. Function of carbohydrates. So carbohydrates mainly provide energy to our body. It provides energy to our body, so it is necessary for our body to take the food which contains carbohydrates. Next is function of fats. So fats provide energy and heat to the body. So this is the function of fat. Next is protein. So proteins are needed for the growth and maintenance of the body. So that's why we are taking the food which contains proteins, and this is necessary for the growth and maintenance of our body. Next one is vitamins. So vitamins help in protecting our body against disease. So that's why we are taking the vitamins or food containing the vitamins. Next is minerals. So our bones, teeth, blood, etc. contain different minerals, and minerals are necessary for the growth and maintenance of the body. So these of the parts of our body contains mineral. So for the growth and maintenance of these parts, we need minerals. Next one is dietary fibers. So it adds bulk to the food and helps our body to get rid of undigested food. These dietary fibers help to digest the food in our body. So this is the importance or the functions of dietary fibers. And last one is water. So water helps us our body to absorb nutrients from the food. All the food items contain these nutrients. So now how we will take these nutrients? So for that water is necessary. This water helps our body to absorb or to get the nutrients from these food items. So that is the function of water. So after the functions of various nutrients, we had seen balanced diet. What is balanced diet? So the balanced diet is a diet which provides us with all the nutrients to our body needs in the right quantities, along with the adequate amount of roughage and water. The diet which contains all the nutrients which are required by our body in the right amount, and in the right amount it also should provide the right amount of roughage, that means dietary fibers and water. So that kind of diet is known as the balanced diet. So then after we had seen what if this our diet we are taking is not balanced, then what problem will be caused, that we had seen. So in that we had seen that high proportion of fat in good gives rise to obesity. If we consume fatty foods more, or the foods which contain fats in more amount, then it gives rise to the obesity. Then it will be possible that we may suffer with the obesity. And then after we had seen different deficiency disease. So before that, what is deficiency? So deficiency of one or more nutrients in our food for a long time may cause certain disease or disorders known as the deficiency disease. It is caused because of the lacking of any nutrients. So the deficiency or lacking of one or more nutrients in our food for the long duration of time, then it may cause certain disease in our body or disorder in our body. So this kind of disease or disorders are known as the deficiency disease. Here some examples are also given to you, that is scurvy, beriberi, rickets and loss of vision are some of the disease caused by the deficiency of vitamins. These are the disease which caused by the deficiency of the vitamins, that is scurvy, beriberi, rickets and loss of vision. Then whereas bone and tooth decay goiter and anemia are caused by the deficiency of minerals. Because of the deficiency of minerals in our food for the long duration of time, it may cause tooth decay or the disease related to bone, then after goiter and anemia. So these are the things we had seen in this second chapter, that is components of food. Now our next chapter is chapter number 3. The chapter name is Fiber to Fabric. So now let me see the summary of this chapter. So before that, what is fabric that we had seen? So fabric means clothes, and these fabrics are made up of yarns, and these yarns are further made up of fibers. That means fiber is smaller unit. From this fiber, by knitting the fibers we can get yarns, and by knitting these yarns we can get fabric, and that fabric, that means cloth. Then after we had seen that fabric is made up of two types of fibers. Fabric is made of mainly two types of fibers, and that fibers are natural fibers and synthetic fibers. So first one, what is now natural fibers? So these natural fibers are obtained from plants and animals. That means we are getting these fibers from the natural sources, that is either from the plants or from the animals. And there are two types of these natural fibers. The first one is plant fibers. The example of such kind of fiber is cotton and jute. And the another type is animal fibers, which we are getting from the animals. So that is wool and silk. So these are the examples of natural fibers, that is cotton, jute, wool and silk. The next second type of fiber is synthetic fibers, or you can also known as by artificial fibers. So the fibers which are made by man from chemical substance are called synthetic fibers. Like nylon, polyester and acrylic are some of the examples of these synthetic fibers. Then after we had seen about cotton. So cotton fiber, known as cotton wool, is the most widely used plant fiber, and it is grown in the places that have black soil and warm climate. We had then after seen that how we are getting the cotton fabric. So before that, cotton fiber is also known as the cotton wool, and it is mostly used plant fiber, and it is grown in the places where it has the black soil and warm climate. And the fruits of cotton wool are about the size of the lemon and are green in color. And from these fruits we can get the cotton fibers. And after maturing, this bowl burst open and the seeds covered with cotton fibers appear. So from these cotton bolls, cotton is picked by the hands, and we are separating the seeds and cotton fibers from these bolls. The fibers are then separated from the seeds, as we had discussed, by combing. So this process is known as the combing, and this process is called ginning of cotton. This process is also known as the ginning of cotton. The process then after of making yarn from this cotton fiber is called spinning. The process of getting cotton fibers from the cotton bolls is known as the ginning, and the process of making yarn from the cotton fibers is called spinning. And simple devices used for spinning are hand spindle, or you can also say takli, and charkha. For the spinning process we are using these tools. And in this process the fibers from a mass of cotton wool are drawn out and twisted, and this brings the fibers together to form yarn. In this we are twisting the fibers, and that's how we are preparing the yarn. And the spinning of yarn on a large scale is done with the help of spinning machines. Nowadays spinning machines are also there. So on a large scale we are using these machines to get the cotton fabric. And after spinning, yarns are used for making fabrics. The two main methods by which fabrics are made from the yarn. So now we get the yarns. Now we have to make the fabric from this yarn. So for that, two methods are there, that is weaving and knitting. So the process of arranging two sets of yarns together to make fabric is called weaving. In this we are arranging two sets of yarn together to make the fabric. So this process is known as the weaving. And weaving of fabric is done on the looms. Loom is a machinery which is used for weaving. And the looms are either hand operated or power operated. And in the another method, that is knitting. So in knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Like we are making socks and sweaters. So socks and sweaters are generally made of knitted fabrics. In that we are using this knitting method to make the fabric. And knitting is done by hand and on machines also. Same as the weaving, it can be also done by hand or by machine also. So this is all about cotton fabric. Then after, next we had seen about jute. So jute fiber is obtained from the stem of a jute plant. That means it is the plant fibers. And we are getting this from the jute plant. It is cultivated during the rainy season and is harvested when it is at the flowering stage. We are cultivating these plants in the rainy season. The stem of the harvested plants is immersed in water for a few days. Then after, the stems get rot and the fibers are separated by the hand. The stems of the jute plant we are immersing this, or we are dipping this in the water for some days, and then after, this stem get rot and it gets spoiled, you can say, and then after we are separating the fibers of jute by our hand. And in old times, people used the bark and big leaves of tree or animal skin and fur to cover themselves. So this we had seen about jute and cotton. Nowadays we are using different fabrics to wear or to make the clothes. But in the old times, people used bark and big leaves of trees or animal skin or fur to cover themselves. And then after, people began to settle in agricultural communities and they learned to weave twigs and grass into mats and baskets. Then after, they learned how to weave. And then vines, animal fleece or hair were twisted together into long strands, or you can say long strings. These were woven into fabric. And this is how fabric came into picture. And then after, nowadays we can see that we are using different kinds of or variety of fabrics to make the clothes. So these are the things we had seen in our chapter number 3, that is fiber to fabric. Now our next chapter is chapter number 4, that is sorting materials into groups. So now let me see what we had seen in this chapter. So in that we had seen anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. And the matter used in making an object is called material. The substance from which we are making an object, so that substance is known as the material. Like one example is there, wooden chair. So in wooden chair is an object and we are making this chair from the wood. So the wood is the material in this example. And the objects around us are made up of large variety of materials. To make the objects we are using many variety of materials that we had seen. And then after we had seen that a given material could be used to make a large number of objects. And it is also possible that an object could be made up of single material or of many different types of materials. That means we can use one material to make any object, or we can use more than one materials to make any object. And the materials or objects are sorted into groups on the basis of their appearance, hardness, transparency, color and shape. Then after we had seen that how we can classify or how we can sort these materials or objects into different groups. So we can classify them based on their appearance, hardness, transparency, color and shape. So there are many different ways of sorting objects. Example, on the basis of the materials used in making the objects like glass, metals, plastic, wooden, paper and clay objects. One way is given here that we can classify them on the basis of the materials from which we made that object, that is either glass, metal, plastic, wooden, paper or clay. And generally the objects are sorted on the basis of these following properties. In that we had seen first one, that is appearance, that whether any object is shiny object or non-shiny object. On basis of this we can classify them. Then after we had seen next property, that is hardness. So from hardness we can say that any object is either soft or hard. The next property is solubility. So from this we can say that any object is soluble in water or insoluble in water or any different liquid. The next property we had seen, that is floating. So from this we can say that, or we can classify the objects that can float on water or that sink in the waters. And last one property we had seen, that is transparency. So based on this we can classify the objects which are transparent, opaque and translucent. What is this? We had seen already the transparent, that means the objects through which we can see clearly. So this kind of objects are known as the transparent object. Then after translucent objects, that means the objects through which we cannot see clearly, we can see through them partially. So this kind of objects are known as the translucent object. And last one, that is opaque object. So the objects through which we cannot see at all. So this kind of objects are known as the opaque objects. So based on these properties we can classify, or we can sort the materials into different groups. So these are the things we had seen in the chapter number 4, that is sorting materials into groups. Now our next chapter is chapter number 5, that is separation of substance. Now let me see the summary of this chapter. So in this chapter we had seen that a mixture is made up of 2 or more than 2 components, and the components can be either solid, liquid or gaseous. Then after we had seen what is separation. So the process of separating the components of a mixture is called the separation, and we had seen many different methods for the separation of different materials. So these methods are hand picking, threshing, winnowing, sieving, sedimentation, decantation, filtration, evaporation and condensation are some of the common methods used to separate substance from their mixtures. So in the first method, that is hand picking, we had seen that this method of separation is used to separate slightly larger size impurities like pieces of stones, husk and other grains. That means if the difference in size is more, then we can use this hand picking method, and in this we have to separate the materials or substance with our hand. The next method we had seen, that is winnowing. So winnowing is used to separate heavier or lighter components of a mixture using wind or by blowing air. And husk is separated from the heavier grains by this winnowing method. That means if the difference in weight is there of 2 components, then we can separate those components from a mixture by this winnowing method. Next we had seen, that is filtration. So if a mixture has particles of different size, then this difference in the size of particles is utilized to separate them by the process of sieving and filtration. Again, the size, if the difference is there in the size, then we can use the sieving and filtration method. If the 2 components are in solid state, then we can use sieving method, and the filtration can also be used to separate the components of a mixture of an insoluble solid and a liquid. That means if one component is in solid state and another one is in liquid state, then we can use this filtration method. The next method we had seen, that is decantation. So in a mixture of a sand and water, the heavier sand particles settle down at the bottom and the water can be poured out. So this process is called decantation. The next method we had seen, that is evaporation. So the process of converting water into its vapor is called evaporation. So this is also one method to separate the substance. Then after we had seen condensation. So the process of converting water vapor again into its liquid state. So this process is known as the condensation process. This we had seen in the distillation process. Then after we had seen what is saturated solution. So a solution is said to be saturated if it cannot dissolve more of the dissolved substance in it at the given temperature, then we can say that that solution is saturated solution, and we cannot dissolve more amount of the dissolved substance in this kind of solution. So this is now saturated solution. Then we had seen that how we can make this saturated solution. So method for making saturated solution, for that we have to first pour half a cup of water in a beaker, and then after we have to add 1 teaspoon of salt and we have to stir it well until the salt dissolve completely. And then we have to repeat the same process until we can see that some salt remains undissolved and it settles at the bottom of the beaker. So at that time we can say that the solution we prepared is the saturated solution. So this is how we can get the saturated solution. And on cooling this kind of saturated solution, the amount of substance dissolved in the solution decreases and it settles at the bottom of the beaker again. If we decrease the temperature or we cool the saturated solution, then the amount of dissolved substance decreases and it settles at the bottom of the beaker, and the water dissolves different amount of soluble substance in it. That means the water can dissolve salt as well as sugar, but the amount of this salt and sugar is different for the same amount of water. So these are the things we had seen in this chapter number 5, that is separation of substance. So this is revision for chapter 1 to chapter number 5. The syllabus of your unit test 2. You have to prepare this 5 chapter for unit test 2, and in this chapter you have to prepare all these short exercise, that is MCQ, fill in the blanks, true false, answer in one word, like this, etc. And any exercise in the form of MCQ can be asked from this 5 chapter. Thank you.